Hey, Mrparka here to review a new one from Alamo Drafthouse. This will be released next Tuesday, I believe the 19th, and this is Dangerous Men. Yeah, I had heard about this one. The trailer looked like it could be fun, and yeah, it. All right, let me get into this. This is definitely a movie where the story about the movie is much more interesting and intriguing than the actual film itself. The plot of Dangerous Men is nonsense, but let me get into it. It's about a newlywed couple who or boyfriend girlfriend, and the boyfriend is killed by some bikers. The wife takes some revenge and is running around the town committing murder. Meanwhile, the boyfriend's brother was a cop, and he's on the tail of the bikers and the wife. There's almost two storylines going on here. They don't intersect very well, and they kind of ditch half the characters in the film at one point. Dangerous Men was directed by a guy who was from Iran. And he was named John Rad. That was actually not his real name. His real name was much longer and much harder to pronounce. The thing about Dangerous Men is I believe it's definitely it has intriguing quality for people that want to see stuff that just want to scream in the air, how the hell did this get made? This is definitely one of those titles where it's just baffling and confusing, almost like a person who's a little delusional made it, and they're kind of from a different country, and you think, well, maybe this necessarily is just a weird interpretation of America or filmmaking. As you watch the features on here and learn more, you kind of realize that John Rad is just a bizarre fellow altogether. And the film definitely shows it. This was made in the, I believe, 80s and 90s, and finally released in 2005. It played at the Alamo Drafthouse, and it's finally getting a Blu-ray release now, 11 years later. The interviews on the disc include with the people that went and saw the movie originally and the people that made this thing come together, and it's kind of an interesting story. They also have information about the director and talk with his daughter and his grandkids. They have some very crazy things to say about the guy. As you could tell, this definitely is a movie that can be inspirational to some, because it kind of shows you that this guy was definitely a rebel. He was going to do it his way, and it was going to get done no matter how long it took, or no matter what kind of corners or things he had to do to do it. Now, when I first put this in, I had thought it was kind of like a goofy. I wasn't sure if it was a throwback or it was something old. I wasn't necessarily sure. But as I started watching the film, the first 10 minutes, I completely forgot that it might have been an old film. I didn't read the back. I just went in semi-blind. And I was thinking, oh, this is, a newer movie to make it look old and goofy. And they're in on the joke when I saw directed, written, edited, music scored by John Rad. I was like, okay. And immediately in the opening scene, the couple talking with the audio drops and hisses and stuff like that. I was like, oh, this is just an intentionally made bad movie. And honestly, for the first 10 minutes or so, I thought it was that, until I caught on and realized this is a legitimate terrible movie. Not something that is in on the joke. The film is just absolutely ridiculous, bonkers, stupid, inept, and probably bankrupt morally. The things that they make kind of a girl's about to be attempted to rape, and they kind of make it a gag where the guy's foot stuck in there and he's trying to get out. Fair amount of nudity, some action, which is terribly done, maybe in a comedic level, but it's kind of funny that I honestly thought this was one of those movies that was like kind of a throwback, like even Mutantis, which is completely over the top. I thought it was so over the top, I thought that it was the caliber of Mutantis, where I was like, oh, this is clearly fake. It is not, and that's even more shocking. It does kind of have that let's celebrate this guy's failure kind of mentality, and I've never really been into that. I love film. I don't really love making fun of them. It kind of just bums me out when I see a movie I don't care for. It's a waste of time. But the disc is kind of interesting. Like I said, it does have commentary, which I didn't get into, but I watched everything else on the disc, including a featurette, and where he appears on a Queer Edge TV Cinema, a whole episode, which is rather goofy show and crazy. And it kind of, I'm surprised it was in 2005. It was such a different time, just in 10 years. But yeah, the disc is put together well. The movie, not so much. I'm not sure if I can really recommend this. I mean, I'm sure people that love the stuff like The Room would eat this kind of stuff up. And I do think that from those kind of movies where it's just like these, oddball directors making oddball films, which don't really make any sense to anybody but themselves. You know, they're endearing to some people because maybe they just look at it and say, man, that guy was going to make a movie no matter what. But also, I believe there's an audience that just want to laugh at the director. And I find that kind of weird, to be honest. So I think that this movie will appeal to a lot of people, especially maybe in a theater setting. I think it could be more enjoyable for people. But watching it by yourself, you might be put through agony. The nudity does help a bit. The music is ridiculous and repetitive and funny, also written by him. But yeah, it's hard to follow. You don't want to follow it. Just ridiculous stuff. Every mistake you can name in the book is in here. It was shot on film. That is one thing it has going for it. But yeah, Dangerous Men, what can I say? It's just an inept, goofy movie that is probably for a midnight crowd to laugh at and maybe enjoy. But that's as far as I can go about the movie. Like I said, the release is fairly nice. It does have like I said, the booklet in here gives you some insight on the director, and he was kind of an interesting fellow, although very bizarre. And you could tell just the way he talks. He's just kind of a one-of-a-kind person. But that's Dangerous Men. You'll probably be seeing information below where to buy it and links and whatnot. And you'll see the booklet and everything in the video. But I'm Mrparka. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good one.
That all the crimes have been committed by a lone assailant, there is a high probability that that assailant is a woman.
Stay away from the bikers.
What are you, out of your fucking mind?
Don't fuck with me! I can smell cops a mile away. Now, who was that guy?
I told him to stay away from this case, damn it.
Go for it, asshole!
Boss, cops are all over the place. You tell everyone to stop them no matter what it takes!
Just get out of here and leave us alone!
Dangerous Men, guaranteed it's like nothing you've seen before.